let me be sure.
I am ready.
Okay. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. For public information, a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of this meeting room on the east wall. We'll have roll call.
Harris,
Here.
Reisig,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Blue, Parsley,
Here.
Okay, if we'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let me just mention a couple things that I'd like to remind everybody about. Remember that this meeting is being recorded. It will be broadcast at a later date. So remember that whoever would like to speak, when you're recognized, be sure to come forward in front of the microphone, state your name for the record, and spell your name so the county clerk can get it spelled correctly as she prepares her minutes. Remember, there'll be no swearing or other inappropriate language. Be sure that you check your cell phone. We try and turn them off or to silent in an effort to not disrupt the meeting. Also want to remind commissioners to speak clearly, directly into the microphone so that your voice can be picked up as well for the recording and people listening in later. This agenda seems fairly short. We'll see how it goes. Depending on the length of the meeting, we may take a 8-minute recess midway through the meeting, depending on how I think that we're doing. So we appreciate your cooperation with those things. The next item is to approve the agenda and or consider any modifications.
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Okay,
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. We'll go ahead and vote.
We've got 4 yeses, and I'm gonna vote Mike's just abstaining,
Okay,
so I don't,
just for your purposes.
well,
Yeah.
until we get to it, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we do expect Mr. Blue somewhere around 5:30, but, yeah, we'll see if he makes it or not for that. So, okay, motion's carried. So the board reserves the right to enter into a closed session if deemed necessary. We do have some executive session items towards the, end of the, evening, the end of the agenda. And we do plan to go in executive session for those. But this also gives us, or confirms our right, I guess, to go into executive session for other reasons if it's deemed necessary and appropriate by law. The next item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is intended to approve several items with one action unless any of the commissioners would like to remove one item and vote on it separately. So we have about 6 or 7 items under the consent agenda tonight. Is there anything that needs to be pulled out separate?
I'd move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion of the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 4 yeses.
All right, the motion's carried. The next item is Board of Equalization. We'll need a motion to go into the Board of Equalization.
I'll make a motion to go into the Board of Equalization.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to go into Board of Equalization. So we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 4 yeses.
So the motion's carried. The first item is discuss and consider approval of one vehicle exemption for capstone gearing.
Hello.
Heather?
All right, so this vehicle for Capstone is a 2023 Nissan Rogue. The use of it says that Capstone provides forensic interviews and advocacy services to child abuse victims and their non-offending caregivers. They also facilitate MDT meetings in the Panhandle areas as directed by Nebraska state statute. The vehicle is used to provide travel to interview, training, presentations, court hearings, and appointments with victims and families throughout the Panhandle. The tax loss on this is $322.
And are you recommending
I would
approval?
recommend it, yeah.
They meet
I'd
all
move
the
for-
qualifications.
I'd move for approval.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the vehicle exemption for Capstone. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 3 yeses. The nay being Parsley.
Okay,
No, that's,
you may have
I
accidentally hit the,
meant to say yes to that.
And
Sorry.
that's a $10 fine also for that, just so you
A
know.
lot.
yeah, especially for the new guys.
Yeah,
As long as it passed, we're good.
$10, I don't know what that is.
All right, either
I
way,
have to go with the way it read.
the
though.
motion's
So-
carried either way. so.
Either way, yeah.
All
All
right,
right, so the next one I have is one vehicle exemption for the Sears House. This, I believe, is a new vehicle for the Sears House. So it will come back up again in January when they bring forth their list for the whole year. But this vehicle will be used for mental health services such as community support, youth services, homeless services, and supported employment. And it is used 100% of time for what the recommended use is for.
What's the tax loss?
$368.
368?
any discussion, or is there a motion?
I'd move for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the vehicle exemption for Cirrus House. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 4 yeses.
Motion's carried. Okay, that's all for Board of Equalization. If we could have a motion to go out of Board of Equalization.
I'll make a motion to come out of the Board of Equalization.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and second to come out of Board of Equalization. We'll go ahead and vote.
Give me just a second to catch
Sure.
up, please.
Okay. Let us know when you're ready.
On your marks, get set.
Go.
Okay, we can go ahead and vote.
And you have 4 yeses.
All right, the motion's carried. So that brings us to the general agenda items. Discuss and consider approval of capital improvement grant for the Scotts Bluff County Fairgrounds of $50,000 for 3 years. Brenda?
Good evening. Well, I always start with my disclaimer, just so that everyone in the public understands that all of the tourism funds, both marketing and capital improvement, are lodging tax funds. 3% is collected from the lodging properties, and that money is to be used for tourism promotion, and it can only be used for that purpose. So the money that we are talking about tonight will come from the Capital Improvement Fund. And the Scotts Bluff Ag Society came to us and had requested $50,000 for 5 years. We agreed to 3 years with a report after that to kind of update us on all of the improvements that they have made. So we agreed to $50,000 for 3 years. And this will include first phases of some of the projects, to include the event center, the outdoor open barn area, the show pavilion, and Stanford Hall. And the upgrades include restrooms and some meeting spaces, and then that would therefore increase the size of event that they can host with these upgrades. All capital improvement funds are a 50-50 match, so they would receive payment upon receipts of the first $50,000. If they can do that in 2025, fine. If not, it would be the next 3 years. And the Tourism Committee approves the capital improvement grant, and we feel that the increase to the space would help Lana to be able to grow larger events. And then Sanford Hall is on the historic registry, so it's important that we keep that building up and going and maintained for the public to continue to utilize. And so it is our recommendation that you approve the capital improvement grant. And then I have some members from the fairgrounds here to kind of help answer any questions that you may have.
Lana Hubbard, Scotts Bluff County Ag Society. And Amy Hustler, Secretary for the Ag Society. I did bring some handy dandy little packets. That talks about the capital improvements that we have been discussing for many years, and finally just kind of everyone kind of got on the same page of how we feel we needed to move forward. And Matt, I did include a map with this one, okay? So you kind of know what
Yep.
buildings we're talking about. You know, thank you, Brenda, you hit a lot of points for us. You know, we've kind of broke it down into phases and projects, knowing that sometimes we may get into a position to where maybe that project is going to take a little bit more time, or the window's not yet, you know, going to allow us enough time before an event, because we are busy. I mean, the summers are busy, and sometimes you get into projects, bad weather can hold you up, and then, you know, we may have a situation where, you know, we've always talked about extra pedestal camping and different things. Well, maybe a transformer isn't going to, you know, be adequate for that project. But, so anyways, this is listing a lot of these projects that the board has discussed, so.
Lana, on this,
Yes.
and I haven't gotten to the back yet to read all of it, maybe just answer where it says no floor and no restrooms. Does that mean that you're going to add restrooms to those areas?
Yes,
Okay.
which which one were you referencing?
Well, there's three of them here that say no restrooms. I don't know whether that means
Building
Um,
8,
that you're just telling us that there's no
Right,
restrooms,
like the
or you're going
Morton-
to put a restroom in
The
it.
Morton Building, which is building number 5, that,
Right.
and I'm going to use that today as an example. Through the years, we have, been able to insulate that building, add some extra electricity, and it does have a concrete floor. The shooting sports here in the valley use that, faithfully throughout the winter for practicing, so it has no restrooms. Kinda inconvenient, it would be a very well-used building with some restrooms. Some of these numbers that I got may have changed, cause I've been working on this for quite a few months now, and so I kinda went off some numbers versus, some projects we've been doing back, at the state fair, or just even some quotes. I know that number can change, and that's why we have to look at it kind of project by project. But there's just areas like that. Sanford Hall has been so utilized over the last 3 years for weddings. I mean, I will even have out of town, and number one, it's affordable. But again, it doesn't have heat, so we shut it down. I really don't recommend anyone using it from November to maybe April. I've had a few things maybe through, that we've lucked out in March, but, and mainly private events. I've had, actually, there's been proms in there, but, weddings. But it also in the summer can be very, very warm. That building we all know was, built in the 30s. It actually was burned down and rebuilt again. It's funny to read some of that stuff. They kind of thought it was maybe mischief that it was burned down. People didn't like dancing and different things like that. But, so, we've just kind of went through as a board, and if Amy would like to, add anything to that, we've just really, talked about
So
these
being
type of
on,
things.
Sanford Hall being on the, historic registry, how does that limit what they're able to do in terms of,
I've read a lot on that, and I mean, you can still, improve those buildings. We would try to keep it as aesthetically, as to what it is
Right.
now. But it does, the siding on it's getting bad. I've talked to some painters, they've even recommended the LP siding. It's just durable, but still has that wood grain look, maybe keeping the windows original. Maybe adding heat. It did have heat at one time back, I think through the 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. I don't really know, because I remember we took, after I was there, it had the original heater in it. And it wasn't a working, and it wasn't even something we could do. And so I early in my years there, I had the guys take it out. And so, but ceiling fans are a big, but it also has a wood structure above the beams that, is kind of hard for that, so. But, there's lots of projects. My mind sometimes doesn't shut
Do you have
down,
any,
but,
do you have
yeah.
any plans for expanding any parking? I know, seems like you're really short of parking.
We are. You know what, that, back in the 80s, about 88, Mitchell Ball Fields were to, like on the north side of the high school. And don't take me word for word, but I do remember them being there. And at that time, the city, I think, was looking to move them. I don't know, it just must not been inclusive to have them there. So, at that time, those acres were part of the fairgrounds, but the board donated that, basically for $1, sold it for $1 to the city to build the ballparks. I have, would like to have a conversation with the city, because there are a couple fields that aren't used. Big fields, like the Legion Field, which would be so useful for us. It would be,
I think maybe in the future on that.
yeah. That would be a great conversation to have.
But I'm looking at the
So-
green areas you have here, you've got a lot of space for parking, even on the north side of the old scale barn and where the
Right.
Quonset's at. I
And
think
that
it
all fills up.
does, that's what my question, is that all filled?
It does. During fair, that all fills up. In fact, where these ball fields are, where you see that red, there's a gentleman that owns that property back there. And it's been for sale a few times off and on, but a gentleman's had it for now a while. He will mow that down, and we can, I mean, I don't know, and we've had some rainy years, but it's still suitable that we can get cars back there.
If we mowed it, would he, or if you mowed it, I should say, if the fair board mowed it, would he probably be more willing to let us use that?
Oh, absolutely. He's gracious. He'll even
That's
stop
good.
in
That's
for
great.
me and just say, hey, I mowed that,
But I'm just thinking you're just
so-
short, and it looks like there on the west side, there's a little bit of ground behind Sanford Hall.
There is,
Does that get used for
camping.
parking at all?
Yes, that's all camping. We
Oh, that's
will
all
have
campers.
about 100 campers there
Okay.
throughout the week of fair. Between that area and we have another area by the grandstand area. But where the carnival is, which is you can see that lot, there is some parking there. A lot of the people do park outside the perimeter there, the fence perimeter, but, yes, we are landlocked. So, you know, a portion of those ball fields would be great, but, you know, that's something that, even these houses right here, I really don't know. I do know there's one, I think, coming up for sale. And then the others, I really don't know if there's tenants in them.
Across the street or?
Yeah, it's this area right here on the north side. There's a whole tree row there, and
Oh, yeah.
there's several homes there, but I don't know. Like I said, the first one I do know that there has been tenants in that or owners. The others I don't know. I don't know if they're vacant and just, you know, run down, or if there actually is people living there. So yes, we are. But you know, we have lots of projects. We have lots of ideas, and Amy's been around the fairgrounds a long, long time, and has seen, you know, different situations we're in, just with parking and buildings and.
Well, I just think your parking,
Restrooms.
you need just a little bit of an upgrade on that. I don't know how to go about it. You sure?
I will take any suggestions. I will take any suggestions.
The event,
You were talking about Sanford Hall. What would it cost to put some heat in there so that you could utilize that in the wintertime?
You know, I just think a unit
Just
minimum
put some
is
unit
gonna be
heaters in it,
$10,000.
just can you just hang some unit heaters in it?
I think we could, because in those, when I talk about macro fans, that's kinda, excuse me, I don't mean, but that is the company, is the big ass company. There's a knockoff of that we have ordered before, and they work well. And there is different types of heating units that they even carry, and the overhead fans and wall fans. But, you know, cause I always am like, well, construction, you know, when they're building in the winter, they pipe in heat. But anyways, so,
Yeah, that's good.
oh, yes, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Mike?
So anyways, but I just look at that's,
Cause there's so many times, there's events that are too small for the event center, but too big for the meeting room portion
Right,
of the event
correct.
center.
Yep.
That building's excellent to do with
Yes,
the
it
wooden
is.
floors and, I mean, and it's been around for a long, long time. I remember back in the olden days,
yeah,
when we were looking at doing something with it. Part of it that was holding us back was the Historical Society.
yeah,
And some of the things they wanted to do, he said, no, but we really need to do this in order to make it more useful, you know? But it's a great building, and it's a good substantial building. It's got good bones.
it
It really
does.
does.
You know, the fairgrounds is coming up, this next fair, 2026, will be the 139th fair. So
Really?
now we're just about a year away from 140 after that, and, you know, I'd really like to see some of these projects, you know,
Yeah,
start
And-
taking
yeah.
place.
And just a reminder for folks, and I don't know whether that number's changed. Used to be 40,000 people, and the fair week would go through that.
Yep,
People
And we
don't
do-
realize that, but there are a lot of folks that
Yeah.
go up there.
yeah, so,
So Lana,
Yes.
couple questions I have.
'Kay.
Would you say that these are in priority order?
well, okay, these are in my priority order.
Okay. Not the
That's what
board
I'm saying,
specifically,
and
but-
the board is, I'm not saying they don't disagree either.
Okay.
It's just that this priority, just, and maybe some of these might get moved around a little bit, just because, you know what, maybe we're not gonna be able to do that this year, so let's, you know, restrooms are huge for us right now. They just are. You know, okay, here I have the floor stripped and sealed again in the event center. That event center was built, 91-ish, I don't even know when the floor, it could have been raw for a long time before they did epoxy it and CLA, you know, that isn't a, make or break deal. You know, it would be nice to have it, it's pretty worn and as far as chipped up and tape and,
Sure.
you know, it was a pretty faithful rule there for a lot of years, no tape on the floor, but it still happens.
So one of my questions was, you know, not in this packet, but maybe I was reading it, because I had got copies from, Brenda's, tourism agenda and those things. And when I read that, it seemed to me that at that time you were asking for 5 years, right?
Correct,
5
yeah.
years, 50,000, and then I thought it almost was saying, we don't really know what we're gonna do with it, but we wanna ask for $50,000 for 5 years. And I was just saying to myself, I know you got lots of things to do there. And, you know, I'm a major believer in the fair and I love what happens out there. And I appreciate everything, all the, buildings and things that are there. So then apparently the tourism committee was cutting it down to 3 years.
Correct.
And, okay, I guess, one of the questions then that came up, and Brenda, this is probably gonna be a question for you for later on, but one of my questions is, in all the overall tourism money, if we look at the recipients for the last 10 or 15 years, and we look at how much money has been given to each organization over that 15-year period, would you be able to gather that at some point and forward it to the commissioners?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just see.
you've done it before, I think,
Yeah, I just did it like in, February or March, yeah.
And how
so-
far did it go back?
Many years.
Yes, since, what,
90s, I think?
2000?
Did it go that far
Oh,
too, then?
well, no, the lodging tax goes back that far, but some of the records, you know, that Kevin Howard had, were lost. So I think I had from 2013 forward. Yeah, so
So
we,
about 12
we have,
years worth.
yeah.
Okay.
So we had.
Well, maybe if you could
about-
just forward that to us again, to each commissioner, that'd be handy for us to know.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So, obviously, so I'm asking that question because, the county fair has been the recipient of tourism dollars and
Exactly.
rightfully so. And this is capital improvement funds, so which we all know that fund always has more money in it than
Correct.
the marketing side of things. And I recognize that. And I certainly love the part where, you have to have your 50% first, and then we would, be ready to give you our 50%. And even then, when we give that 50%, the work has to be completed, if I remember right. Would that be true?
Right, and that's, so they would have to finish, so going off of this list, we just picked the things that, you know, that
Right.
were going to help her the most. So,
Right.
yeah, the first, second, third, whatever the phases are.
Right.
Whatever phase is
But they-
announced,
they're-
then we wanna finish that before they move on to a phase two, obviously,
But
so-
normally they have to do the work before they get the money,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they have to match it. So in
Match.
other words, the very first time she comes to us with a receipt
Receipt.
where the bathrooms have been remodeled and it's $50,000, then I can pay her. So the whole project itself doesn't have to be done.
Okay.
But I just have to have, a receipt a paid receipt for 50,000.
For the 50,000, and
Yep.
then somehow we follow up that the other 50,000 got spent, then? Because aren't you saying that if she got 50,000, she's gonna do $100,000 project?
Yes.
Would that be true?
Yes,
Right.
That's a goal, that's the goal, yes.
So you're
So-
looking,
Yes.
you're looking at 300,000 altogether.
Yes.
right?
Well,
Altogether.
so, yeah,
Good work.
yeah,
For
'cause
over
I
a
mean,
3-year period.
hopefully, you know, we can come up, I mean, there is a reserve that the Ag Society has. But like I said, you get into this, like, to me, I do feel the bathrooms are very important for those two buildings. Those are honestly in my first phase, in addition to Sanford Hall. Okay, so if we would choose to do Sanford Hall, okay, well, Sanford Hall could eat up the 50,000 and the additional 50,000, the matching 50,000 pretty quick. So we may not get to
Okay.
another project.
Okay, I just wanna be sure I understand
So-
that you're gonna put 50 in, and then you're gonna do $100,000 worth of work,
That's the goal, yes.
because we're gonna give you 50.
Yes.
And then you're,
If we
you're going to
approved it.
review it after 3 years on the additional you're gonna review it after 3 years
Yes,
on the,
Ye-
on the
yes, the
additional
tourism
2 years that you
committee. Well,
originally
yeah.
asked for. Is that the
And
plan?
the main reason that we did that was just to see how far along in the process they are. And then also, just by the improvements that they were able to make if, any more events or anything like that were being booked. And we know that that's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's more or less just to review what's
Sure.
been done so far.
And an example to me is, that I can give, and they shared, the beef bash that we hold over New Year's Eve, okay? That is a livestock show and it's just beef only, okay? We flip the buildings in that. The show pavilion that is normally in the summer where all the livestock shows take place, we're having the show inside the event center. We bring in turf, we have purchased turf, we put down, we bring all the show panels into there, we bring the bleachers in there, then they stall in the show pavilion. First come, kind of first served because of space. And with cattle, there's a lot more equipment that is taken to each of those shows for their tack purposes. A lot of them stall off the trailer, a lot of them, if they're not first come, first served, or whatever. But, we've even talked what that could open, but I don't have bathrooms over at the show pavilion. Okay, I don't have bathrooms at the open barn. Some do stall out there, they're okay with their cattle being outside overnight, but they need the indoor workspace, okay? But, that could even open up to, there's so many junior shows out there that, even in October, I don't have that number with me. I think our Colorado zip codes were, we had 180 entries last year. And that was market. I think we had 80 breeding. Our zip codes, our farthest away was Utah and Montana.
Okay,
I think we probably had 130 Colorado. That's a 3-day show. So a lot of them are coming in on Thursday. So they'll stay Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
so when I seen, 50,000 for 5 years, my only concern in that is that, it almost would suggest that, we wanna start getting that $50,000 on an annual basis, so we can just as simply assume we're gonna get $50,000 every year in our budget, from tourism capital improvement stuff. And it seems to me we gotta be sure that we don't get committed on that way out in advance, because there might be some other people and projects that come in. And it's not fair to commit money all the way out there for however long. We asked for 5, and, everybody knows that we have at least some fairly substantial sports-related things that some people wanna do. And, I just don't wanna get to the point of thinking, okay, let's commit to this for the next 3 or the next 5 years, with the thought that something else might come along as well that might have some importance that we do, and then if we're already committed, then I'm a little concerned about that. I'm
that's-
willing to do the 3 years
Yeah.
tonight,
Yeah.
but, I think that's plenty long, and you and I both know too, that you're part of the tourism committee,
Correct.
and I would say two things. Number one, the county fair is a high priority item for us, I believe, for the people in the community, I believe, for the tourism board, I believe. But we also know that when you sit on the tourism board, it's hard to say no to
Absolutely.
you.
Well, I abstain from that.
I know
feel,
you
know-
abstain,
But
but
the
it's hard
decision
for the
comes-
rest to
the
say no.
Decision's here though for us, I think, and
Yeah,
Well,
the
it is
decision's
this
for
time
you.
because it's 50,000, but when they're less than 10, it's not.
yeah, that's true.
Correct.
But by having the 3 years consecutive, if they decide to do a $200,000 project, that could be a plan A, plan B, or year, you could split it into 2 years or however you wanna do it, but then at least you'd be assured that you knew you had this much, that you could do up to a
Right.
$300,000
And not get stuck in the middle of
project
something
over 3 phases.
that
Right.
we can't finish.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that, cause it is uncomfortable sometimes. I don't even like
Uh-huh.
myself being in that
Sure.
situation. It's just that this is your county fair.
That's right.
Sure, all of us, everyone.
And, you know, we're just trying to progress it to the best that we can be, so it's not basically just shut down for the season and open for 7 days.
Right. You've made it into
uh,
that already, and you've
Oh,
done
you
a
know.
great job of promoting it, and I think, you know, it's really important for all of us to understand what Brenda said, and that's that this is not, general fund tax money.
Correct, right.
But it's tourism dollars. And we know that the last time I knew, that capital improvement fund was like 700,000 or something in it,
800,000.
800,000, so,
Yeah.
you know, the money in the capital improvement side of things doesn't get used up like the other side does. And so there's certainly some money there to be used, but
You know,
I'm not gonna be against it.
Yeah,
Those are some concerns for future
Absolutely.
purposes that I have, but, I'm certainly okay with it this evening.
Would you like a motion? Or you're not done?
Just west of the event center, there,
Yes.
wasn't there a restroom and a shower?
there is connected to Sanford Hall. It is it's just not shown here.
It's just
but
not
on
shown
the
there,
north
but
side.
that's still operable, right?
Yes,
So
correct.
for
Yes.
bathrooms and
Yeah.
showers and whatever, okay.
And that's kind of a cosmetic type thing,
Yeah.
you know, everything's there. We need to do some wallboard, like shower board.
And that's more for the
wallboard.
for the campers and
Yes,
whatever you
yep,
use. Okay.
Yep. So, and that's what we do when we do have our, you know, when we have our camping RV clubs come, or we have excess
Right.
camping, I can lock that in between Sanford. I do usually have to shut it off if I have a private event in there, a wedding, because I don't feel it's fair to the private event to have campers that are just staying overnight being able to come in. So then I do lose access for, overnight campers or weekly campers or whatever to use that just during private
Okay.
events, so.
Well, I would move for approval as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve, the request.
I need a copy.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
And that's 50,000 for 3 years out of the capital improvement grant. Any other discussion from anyone? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses.
All right, motion's carried. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. Okay, next item is discuss budget concerns regarding reduced federal funding for Tri-City Road Runner. Kurt?
Okay, well, I want to thank Commissioner Reisinger and Harris and Lisa for meeting with me last Friday. We talked preliminary about what we're facing here. And then I had a conversation with some folks from NDOT earlier today. Not a real sympathetic bunch. But gave them kind of my plan to going forward, at least in the short term. My plan is to kind of go incrementally, on these service reductions. I'm hoping we can find some different avenues of some different revenue streams to help in the long term. So my plan is to kind of step back a little with hopes we don't have to step back further once we kind of review the numbers in about another 3 months. For any of the public, I do have kind of just a typed out copy of my initial plans for service reduction. We have some very specific steps we have to follow according to our Title VI plan, which is civil rights, tied into civil rights. If we're going to reduce our services by more than 10%, we have to hold a public hearing. And I'll work with Kelly on, she knows the publication dates and all that. We have to publish an initial public hearing 14 to 21 calendar days in advance, and then again no later than 5 to 12 days in advance of the actual hearing. Everything has to be translated in Spanish because of our language assistance plan. With a certain number of Spanish speakers in our area, that's a requirement. Hearings have to be held at times and locations convenient for public attendance. Then we have 10 days for the public to submit written and verbal comments that we must address and answer. That'll all get forwarded down to NDOT's Civil Rights Office for review. And then based on that, we can go ahead with our reductions. At that point, I kind of liken it to the pink postcard meeting. The public can comment, but honestly, if we don't do something quickly, a shutdown is inevitable. So I forwarded some spreadsheets here. I did some preliminary cuts that I'm looking at. Some I can implement immediately without going to the public hearing because it's not reducing our service. It's reducing my full-time staff hours in the office to 37.5-hour booth employees instead of 40. Absolutely no overtime immediately. We are doing everything we can just on a day-to-day basis to cut any extraneous expenses. And then the plan would be to cut our flex route hours, currently 6:30 to 6:30, cut those 7:30 to 4:30. That's 12 hours a day with the 4 buses out running, 3 hours each, 12 hours a day, which equates to larger than 10%. And then our demand response, we're currently running, we occasionally have a slow day where we only run 4 vehicles. We normally run 5 and often 6. That's somewhere around a 12 to 16 hour day savings by limiting to 4 buses, no more than 4. Based on our calculations, we're looking about booking a maximum of 125 trips a day. Once we reach that number, we have to cut it off. And we can look at that number as we go to see if that's way too many, or if we can accommodate more, we will. I've never had to turn away trips. And not my choice. Trying not to lose staff. Sorry. Passionate about this. But it is where we are. My goal is to, again, incrementally go. Hopefully we'll find some funds in the future. We have a huge need coming off a record year. This is hard. It's hard.
Not your fault.
Kurt, you talk about doing this gradually, so what we have here is the flex route will be reduced to 7:30 to 4:30. That's immediate?
I cannot do that until I've had the public hearings and given the 10-day period to respond. And then, board approval, I do need to check with the Civil Rights Office at NDOT to see if I have to do it again, if I have to reduce services again. I hope I don't, because that just delays the process and delays the cost savings. It's a big lift of $300,000 in wages and benefits I have to save. have good staff. I'm sure I'm gonna lose some of them. But that is where we are. I just wanted to get out in front of it with you. Again, I'll work with Kelly to get a public notice done for the public hearing. I'm gonna try and use this facility so we don't have any additional costs, obviously. And then we have to document the entire thing, notes, minutes, document all the complaints, our response to the complaints. That has to get all submitted to NDOT's Civil Rights Office. And at that point, it's take the axe to it and cut back to provide as much service as we possibly can in the interim.
It's a little ironic that again, we're having to go through all those hoops for them, and they caused our issue.
Yeah, well, and there's been an increased demand, and it's which is good. Public transit's really expanded in Nebraska. They haven't been super transparent as far as I was told back in June, July, hey, we need to do this, and not a big deal, we'll make it work. And then today it was like, well, it is what it is. Was just the impression I got. UNO Council on Public Affairs Research did a study about a year ago up through 2024 on the gap in funding versus demand for public transit. I actually just had an interview with a gentleman from Nebraska Public Media. He did some ride-alongs. He's doing an expanded article across the state. He was in Mullen. He's on it. He went to Alliance today. It's going to get the word out. By the time this all takes place, we're going to be that can's already kicked down the road. So Russ had reached out to Adrian Smith's office. I was in contact with them Friday. They've been in contact with NDOT, trying to see if there's some other avenues for funding. And then I requested, as our state association board president, I want, they were gonna give me NTD numbers, National Transit Database numbers of what the entities spent last year over this year. Well, I don't want what they actually spent, I want what their budgets were, to see if they submitted budgets well in excess of 30%, so when they took a 30% cut, it didn't hit them as hard. Our 30% cut was a 3% negative budget. We lost 30% of a 27% proposed increase, and that was to increase our services and our hours, and we're well below that. We had to drop completely in reverse. And again, we had 20% year-over-year growth for trips. We did 45,203 trips last year. We're out there humping it again right now, and then but we're going to get to a point where we're just going to have to say, sorry, we're full, can't take you.
How many trips did you say, Kurt?
45,203 last year, and that was a 20% year-over-year growth.
Is that both services combined?
Yes, and they're pretty close to equal 50-50 on our flex route and our demand. We looked at the numbers of trips we pick up just stop to stop at the 6:30, 7:30 hours, and the 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 hours, and kind of came up with our least impact will be, at least for now, starting an hour later and ending 2 hours earlier. We wouldn't impact the least number of people that use our route service. Demand response, we have our subscription trips or standing orders for folks for dialysis and all that. They're already in the system, so they're good, but we only schedule 2 weeks out other than those, and we can't restrict to just medical trips. It's a first come first serve at that point. That's where we're at. I just want to get in front of it. And like I said, my goal is to get the public notice in the paper as soon as possible, so we can get these, because the farther days go out, the longer I have to wait to make these cuts, and the less time we have to save that money and potentially have to cut more down the road. So
Two things, Kurt. First one, in all the years that this county has tried to provide services, clear back in the handyman days or whatever it was called, when they had 2 buses or 3 buses that drove around. I've never seen anybody as dedicated and committed as you are.
I appreciate that.
You work very, very hard to keep this up and running. Secondly, I think you touched on it, the medical. Do you have a way to, I'm sure you do, a way to separate those? So rather than, we may not get to Walmart today, but we are gonna get to our doctor's appointment.
Legally, no.
You can't, or you're saying you can't do that?
What our, kind of our plan is to try and, request people that if they are physically able to get to a bus stop, to use the route it's going to be running. And accommodate as many people as we can on the routes that are able to, so we can hopefully maximize the, demand response service for those medical trips. And we still use the route for those, we deviate as necessary, which is hard. We try, if we do more than 3 deviations per trip each way, we get too far behind. So it really affects our on-time performance, and then we get people to appointments late. So, it's getting out front with the public, hopefully educating the public, and just getting them to work with us the best they can. So,
I'll only mention that, I've told you before, and I'll say it again, that you, have been successful in what you've done out in the, Roadrunner area. And I have said before that, I said, that, yeah, if I had an opportunity to hire you or someone like you in my own business, that, I would be proud to do that, because you are effective in what gets done there.
I'd like
And-
to second that.
Yeah, and yes, several have said that already. And I've said it before, and, I'll just reiterate that, and I like that, you've kinda heard what I've said, before, and so all of that seemed to work great when we had a 80% federal funding, 10% state funding, and 10% local funding. But now, to me, the rug's kinda getting pulled out from underneath us somewhat, and, by others. Would you say this is all pretty much federal? Is any of this state?
the state, again, they haven't provided a lot of money or a lot of information on the funding. The Nebraska is one of the lowest per capita as far as funding public transit. I do know that. I think they're in the bottom 5, the last survey I saw from our national organization. Again, this is the, a Surface Transportation Act is a 5-year bill that they fund highways and everything with, and transportation transit goes into that. We're in between, so this fiscal year is the last year of that 5-year. We don't know, there is no bill yet for the next 5 years, so we don't know what we're gonna get next year.
What's gonna be?
I think demand is a big part of it. It outpaced what they thought they would spend, and I know there were some other issues that came up with. I just some managers that, no fault of their own, were new managers and didn't know their agreement was supposed to be for 2 years, and they did a 1-year agreement, and then they had to do a supplemental agreement for their 2nd year. Well, that dipped into the funds for everybody for the next year. A lot of different things, and I'm not trying to point fingers here, but there are some fingers to be pointed as far as when you get a new person on board, there needs to be a little bit better process for getting them up to speed on at least the basics. I volunteered, some of the other managers have volunteered. When I was thrown into this position, Christy Warner from Kimball County came up and spent a good day and a half with me just to go over the basics and walk me through it, and then she was always available on the phone. I'm getting calls regularly from a new manager at Alliance City Transit, and glad to help. Trying to get the word out through our state association to do that, but it's a new manager doesn't know of this association necessarily right away, and so we're trying to get our association management company to get that out to us right away.
One of the things I would mention to you, you mentioned Adrian Smith's office, and as we locally, and then I'm sure your state organization is trying to work with our Nebraska congressional delegation of the 5 people that we have to work with. But I remember vividly that years ago when we were talking about essential air service, and one of the arguments that they brought was, as you said, we're one of the lowest states, but one of the arguments was to look at per capita how much money gets spent in the metro areas for light rail and subway and all those things that the DOT subsidizes.
And most of those have their own taxing authority as well.
Yeah, and then looking at that compared to the money that the federal government spends in our areas, and it's a fraction of the dollars. And they used that a lot when the negotiation was in place on essential air service, and we ought to use those same type of figures when we try and negotiate whatever we can get for this particular purpose too. So just keep that in mind.
And part of our Title VI plan, which we're currently updating, is it's census numbers.
Yeah.
Our poverty level is over 30%. We could go through a rate increase, but there's a whole analysis you have to do to make sure there's no disparate effect on any one population. Well, by the time we get that done, it'll be June. So I haven't even really talked about that. We have people that struggle to pay the $2 per trip now. We have a lot of them that work with Health and Human Services and Aging Office and other entities to help cover their fare because they don't have it. Anyway, I'm glad to answer any questions. I'm still crunching, looking at potential savings. Some of the savings on here, obviously we cut hours, we'll have some fuel savings, we'll have some maintenance savings. Kind of hard to forecast those out, so I'll be looking at it on a month-to-month basis and a quarterly basis, with the hopes of eliminating a complete shutdown come April, May, or June.
Kirk, when do you think you'll know whether we'll have funding in the future? At what point would you have an idea?
I follow, our National Association has, the executive director, his name is Scott Bogren. He goes regularly and testifies for Congress. I haven't seen any updates from them as to where the Surface Transportation Act is in the process, but I can definitely reach out to him and see if he's got any updated info on where they're at in that process and what it's looking like. One of the big pushes from CTAA is to just change it. If you look at my paperwork, the way that operating and non-operating expenses are reimbursed at different rates. Operating is 50% federal, 25 state, 25 county. Non-operating is 80-10-10. They're trying to just get straight 80-10-10 across the board, which would help cut our local ask, our local responsibility, get more of it to the federal. And it's all tax dollars, but there's a 4-to-1 return on investment for public transit, minimum. And I think it's higher in rural areas, honestly, and usually within the top 5 questions asked by a company looking to open a new location or relocate is, do you have public transit available? So it's huge for our economy, especially here. And it's, it's not just Scotts Bluff residents, it's anybody visiting. Visitors from other countries can access this service. So to me, it's one of the best uses of tax money that I can think of, and I'm a taxpayer, so.
And it's not, I think, a little bit political here, in the fact that the waters have been muddied by much bigger operations, you know, railroads to nowhere, bridges to nowhere. Billions of dollars being budgeted for a project 10 years ago where hasn't been a shovel of dirt gone. And I think that's the big picture that everybody looks at.
They're talking,
And-
well, it's
and-
only a
and-
billion, and if I only had a billion, what I could do
Yeah,
with it.
and they're forgetting about Kurt Richter's operation here in Scotts Bluff,
So.
which
that-
is essential. And it's not a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, we were, like I said, and my goal is to still charge forth when we get our money back next year, flip the switch back on full service and look at our expanding our hours again. Because there is a need. We're trying to add service to be able to help folks get from the airport to their hotels and to their homes. And right now we can't do that because we don't operate those hours. The gentleman that came in from Nebraska Public Media didn't realize we didn't work weekends. I said, well, we would love to. We need more money. It's just the way it operates.
Mark,
So-
you kinda touched on it, you feel like Rick and,
That was my nickname in the military, so you can call me Rick, you can call me whatever.
I was thinking of my nephew, Rick. Anyway, Kurt and I would contact Senator Hardin and maybe talk to him just a little bit and see if there's anything on the horizon.
At the
Would you
state
be all
level.
right if Kurt and I did that?
Sure.
Wanna
I-
call you Rick?
I-
Yeah.
Any of those, I think, will be,
Yep.
any contacts would be
And I can
fine.
reach out to our association manager, Cassandra, and she's really good at helping me put together correspondence.
Okay,
And maybe we can put together an email to go out to the federal representatives. And I would assume Adrian's office would pass that around, but I don't want to assume anything, so.
how about you and I meet with Senator Hardin and just maybe if you could get, even if we could get a conference call with this young lady you're talking about here.
Okay. I will,
Just
I'll work on
anything
that.
that we can open up a line so they know we're here.
I'll work on that.
Can I ask a question? Okay, so Scotts Bluff County runs ours, Kimball County runs theirs, but Alliance City runs theirs? Or-
There's Alliance City, and then Open Plains, which is inner city, is a 501c3 run through their senior services.
Really?
So they have options for grants that we don't, because a lot of grants aren't available to government entities. And some of them, a lot of the grants I've looked into are not available for operating expenses. I'm still digging, still
Your
looking.
demographics, do you think, well, I mean, we know you serve the elderly. That might be
So,
Is that last
a partner.
entity you mentioned, the ones that do a lot of the more rural, longer trip
yeah,
stuff?
KCTS does a lot, they have a lot of, their cost per trip's way higher than ours because of the windshield time. Open Plains, they had I don't know where she's at, I haven't talked to Johnny, but they had a route from Valentine down to North Platte for medical, and
That's what I
they go all the way to Ogallala. They come in to our community, Kimball comes into our community, and she goes DIA to North Platte,
Oshkosh even has,
Oshkosh, and that's
Garden
actually,
County?
Garden County is run, KCTS helps manage Garden County's.
Oh, sorry.
City of Sydney has public transit, but Cheyenne County is operated by KCTS. She's got her hands full down there too, and her budget cut was 1.2 million. Mine was 640,000. So, again, I just want to keep you informed.
In the loop.
You're good. You probably all get phone calls or emails, and I'm gonna do everything I can to keep it as minimal impact as we can. My staff's
Appreciate that.
making some sacrifices, and we'll go from there, day by day. So,
Thanks, Kurt.
okay, thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks. Yeah.
good job.
Okay, we'll go on to the next item of business, which is discuss and consider chairman's signature on the memorandum of understanding between the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs and Scotts Bluff County for the 2026 through 2028 years. Is there anyone here
No,
okay,
it's in your,
yeah.
they provided it. in
We
the
have the
packet.
copy here. Mike, is there anything that you wanna say on this?
I support it. It's nothing new. You know, the Veteran Service Office is pretty complex. The network that they use is very interesting because, you know, they're dealing with they're dealing sometimes with multiple states. We deal with, multiple counties and we have to have, you know, a memorandum of understanding with the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs because we deal with them and they are the deciding factor a lot of times on some of the claims. And, I can honestly say that in last year, our Veteran Service Office brought in over $17 million in additional money into the county
I seen that.
because of their diligence in investigating and submitting evidence for claims that has been approved through the Veterans Affairs state. And the state a lot of times is an access for us to sometimes help with some of those claims. And so there's 2 counties in Nebraska that have really excelled in serving their veterans and helping the counties out money-wise, and that's Douglas County and Scotts Bluff County, and then Lincoln County is right up there too. So there's, out of all the counties in Nebraska, these 3 particular counties have really worked efficiently in getting those claims and monies that flow into the county through disability claims. And that's why this memorandum of understanding is so important with State Department of Veterans Affairs because they play a very integral part in that.
We've been blessed by our current, county officer and, of course, the previous with John and then some before that. But, they've grown this, to, like you said, bring in multi-millions of dollars into our community each year. And it's certainly, helpful and, yeah, this,
I would move for approval of the chairman's signature on the MOU.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. So I have a motion and a second to, to approve the chairman's signature on the memorandum of understanding between Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs and Scotts Bluff County. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses.
Motion's carried. All right, next item. Receive management accountant resignation letter. Miss Lisa, yeah, we have copies of it. Do you want
Me to
to?
get up and talk?
Yeah, I think maybe you ought to tell the public and public that'll be listening online later.
Okay. Well, I can just read my letter and then I can answer any questions, so. I'm writing to formally resign my position as management accountant for Scotts Bluff County. I do not have an official last working day at this time. The start date for my new position is December 29th, 2025, and my caveat there is it's limited hours, so I'm excited for that. I will be available to assist with onboarding my successor if you choose to utilize me for this. And for those of you that were not here when I came on, I was working alongside Jerry Crable for like 3-4 months. So I won't be able to do that, but I can still be available for questions and answers and to show processes. I want to express my sincere appreciation for the opportunities and support I've received during my time here. Wow, we've been through a lot. Working with all of you and the officials team and the employees at Scotts Bluff County has been incredibly rewarding, and I've grown both professionally and personally. Please know this decision was made carefully and is based on personal reasons. I will do everything I can do to ensure a smooth transition, whether that involves training a replacement or documenting processes or assisting with projects during my remaining time. And thank you again for the opportunity to be part of Scotts Bluff County. I truly value the relationships and experiences I've gained, and I leave with gratitude and respect, and wishing you, the county operations, continued success, so.
Okay. So, I would only say that we certainly appreciated all you've done for Scotts Bluff County, and you came to work here about the same time I did, and,
Just a little before you.
yeah,
Yes.
and so, so we've kinda grown through this process together a little bit. But I've appreciated all the things that you've done and your sincere efforts that you've put in here, and,
Thank you.
I've certainly recognized that you're trying to do the best for Scotts Bluff County. And, I understand that and appreciate that. The, I know that, what you have said here is, the way I understand it anyway, is that your new position would be, less hours per week, around 20, I think you said,
To start.
approximate, just
To start.
approximate. And then, so it would give you some time to help out here, with a new person, and I appreciate that offer. But, I would just say from my standpoint that, I certainly appreciate all you've done. We're gonna miss you, and, certainly the things that have been accomplished has, been substantial. And I always say, and some kinda recognize it that are involved here, but many probably don't, but I've always considered your position to be the position that's closest to a county manager,
Right.
compared to all the others, and that you, interact with all the other elected officials and all the other department heads kinda as their authority to go to, for a couple reasons. Number one, you hold the purse strings somewhat, and number two, you're the HR person. And so with those two things in combination, then it's obvious that you have, it seems, more authority to, for people to go to. And, when we as commissioners, look to have something figured out and whatever, we're 98% of the time coming to you.
Right.
And whoever's in your position. And so, it's important to note that that's the cold hard facts of it, and that's what that position entails. And, so, we appreciate what you've done.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And these guys probably have comments, and then I wanna talk a little bit at the end about, advertising, and if I know you've been working a little bit on getting ready to advertise possibly, so, but let these guys comment.
Well, I wanna thank you, Lisa. This is my first term as county commissioner, and you've been a very big help to me. Helped me understand county budget and dealing with a lot of personnel issues.
Right.
You're gonna be missed. But I just wanna say personally, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna miss our phone calls.
Yeah. Strategy sessions.
Strategy sessions, and like Mark said, you deal with two of the biggest things that we have in our county. That's the money and the people. And,
Right.
You're going to be missed. I don't, we don't have to accept this, do we?
No,
You wouldn't have
I
to.
don't think so.
I guess we can.
Why would we?
Determine that down the road here,
Oh, wow.
but you have been, and I know the last few months have been very tough on you. They really have. To say the least, probably the toughest since you've been here.
Yeah, I would say at
And,
times.
and you weathered it well. You were always there for me. And I don't know how, I'm assuming the rest of it feel the same way. If I ever needed anything, I know Lisa was what I could go to all the time. And if there ever was a position that was called county manager, you would definitely be be the one, cause that's kinda what you were doing. You were the go-between between us and so many people. You've handled some really, really tough situations. You really have. And
Every
and you
appointed
did- and you
official
did-
has changed since
and
I've
you
been
did-
here.
And you did well with them. We all came out
Yeah.
better for most of the things
Yeah,
that
I
happened.
think we're always, better for than
And,
where we were.
anyway, you know, we're gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, although I'll still see you. I'll still probably call you. It's all right.
There you go. Thank
I'd
you.
like to personally thank you, you know, you've been a lot of help here. It didn't matter if we were in tax protests, whatever, you were always here to, you know, get through this stuff. There's a lot of things to go through, way more than I'd ever dreamt when I got on this board. But you walked us through it very well, and I really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's very kind.
Lisa, I just
Yeah.
add that it's been a pretty short time that I've come to work with you, and it's been a pleasure. And I do have become aware of how stressful it's been the last few months, and I can't imagine the amount of stress you had to have been under. Very big shoes to fill. And for me, I wish you weren't leaving. That would be the easy solution here. But as much time as we can get to get whoever your replacement's gonna be, time that they have with you before you go away on the 29th, or maybe even after that, I think we would be better off as a county if they can learn
That's,
from, you know, from what you've been doing, so, thanks.
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. So,
So, I would only say, Lisa, that, if, assuming again that, we're, I think, all on board with the thought that she should start advertising the position, as early as tomorrow or however you normally do it. And, then, do we need to take an action to accept her
Just go ahead and do that.
resignation?
Accept the resignation.
Just to be sure?
I mean, if that's what you're gonna accept or decline.
Well, we'd like to
Reject.
decline it, but I'm not sure that
I know
solves
I
the
don't know how
problem.
you're gonna
I don't think that
vote.
solves the problem, but
I'm not voting for it. I hope you get 3, 'cause that's,
I think I've changed my mind. I know, I like
But-
my new office too. Darn it.
but I guess, that would be the intention here. And I would just say that if there's anyone else here that wants to say anything, I'd be happy to listen to anyone. But, without that, I guess, with regret, I would move that we accept the resignation letter from Lisa Ryan.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the resignation letter from Lisa. And with that, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses.
All right, so the motion's carried. We wish you the best, and, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're still my neighbor, so I can
there you go.
get ahold of you.
That's good stuff.
Okay, the next area is old business. Lisa, any, update on Time Clock Plus and payroll processes?
I don't have an update to speak of. Payroll's going really pretty good right now using our old system. I think we're gonna be looking at some different software just to entertain that maybe we need to look at a different direction. We were supposed to have a meeting this morning, but, open enrollment, we'll talk about that later. But it just was not a good time. We'll be talking to this organization later. Steve got us set up with someone. that Maybe just all, anyway, we just need to consider other options, possibly. So,
And if nothing else, light a fire
yeah, there you go.
under MIPS, so.
You know, I noticed that Charlotte had sent out an email that this month particularly, you're gonna be on a short
Yeah.
time schedule because of Thanksgiving and
Yes.
last day of the month and
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
well, and as it turns out, like this month, Thanksgiving is the 27th, and county's closed the 27th, 28th. The last day of the month is Thursday. No, excuse me. Last day of the month is Sunday. Okay. And so and payroll would be due Friday, and she has just a couple of days to get it out. You'll be
Right.
paid by the 26th.
Right, Wednesday's the payday.
Yeah, I was
Looks
gonna say,
So it's
last
just-
working day of the month. month. is
Right,
paid.
Yeah.
so, it's
It just-
unusual, and I see she's asking everyone to try and get their information to her
Exactly.
as
'Cause-
quickly as possible.
Just because payday is on Wednesday, she's gotta have everything ready to go on Tuesday, which
Yeah.
just steps everything up. Well, she'll get there, but
Right, but it's
Anyway.
this month is probably more difficult than any other, so.
yes, I would agree. So, but she's pretty much a rock star at that. She can pull
Good.
it together, and she's
Good.
got a smooth cycle going, so.
Good deal.
Yeah. All right, so, we've accepted, Lisa's, resignation, and she's gonna start to run the advertisements. And then, I'm assuming that with that, you'll set some kind of a ending
deadline.
date? Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
if it's not December first, somewhere close to there.
yeah, and then we'll, decide from there, how we're gonna deal with it,
Yeah, it could, yeah, how you're gonna do interviews and,
right,
right.
okay?
There's something missing here. Weren't we supposed to have to start advertising for buildings and grounds?
Well,
That's part of,
It's part of it.
we'll be doing
Ye-
that too.
Yeah,
That's just gonna come natural.
I thought we might talk about it back here with under the, board and staff reports, but, yeah, the building and grounds position.
Yes.
So that should just go naturally. I don't think we have to approve
We don't
that.
have to approve anything, she does those things all the time without our authorization,
Okay, great.
so,
That's my question.
but I thought we might mention it at that time.
Good, okay.
Okay, so under old business, USDA Wildlife Services, primarily talking about prairie dog issues. Anyone have any new information or heard anything from any of the other counties?
Haven't heard anything about
I haven't either. All right, on the back side of the agenda, we're up to the, part of public comments. Board of Commissioners will receive public comments on items discussed at this meeting or suggestions for items of discussion at future board meetings. The board will not take action on comments presented, today. But we would like to invite anyone that'd like to speak. Steve, you said that you'd like to speak this evening?
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Stephen Loveledge, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, Loveledge, L-O-V-E-L-I-D-G-E. I'm just very impressed, and I just want to say thank you for all of you and the other people that have done the work around here. That's just, it's amazing to me that to see all the work that people and the time and effort that you guys all put in. And I wish more people would realize that. You know, I've come to a few meetings, and of course, in our the reason why I'm here is that in this past year there seems to have been a lot of struggles with several governmental agencies in the Panhandle, and I was concerned about it. And I had recently read a devotion that was written by Billy Graham, and that he'd mentioned that the reason the United Nations was so ineffective in handling world situations, it was due to the fact that they didn't open up with prayer. And so that's what I'm here for, is to ask you to consider the idea of opening your meetings. Even the unicameral has, at every session, they have their meetings, and they open with prayer. And you can do it yourselves, or you can get somebody else to come in and do it. But there needs to be, I can imagine how difficult it is for county commissioners to meet and needing guidance and direction and wisdom. And what better source? I like you sign, In God We Trust. Well, let's put that into action and start the meeting asking for his wisdom and guidance and direction to help you guys, because what you're doing here is just unbelievable. I'm just amazed, and I wish there was some way we could get more people to come to a meeting just to see what's going on and to realize how much work and how much hard time people, put all their energies into their positions here, and they don't see it. We need somehow get the paper to invite people to come here or something. Do do a story on the county commissioners or something, but for people to come and to realize how much work that goes into this. And so I was gonna ask you to vote on it today, but after reading that last thing that you can't. So, I would request that it be put on, an agenda, that there would be a prayer at every meeting. And of course, if you do make a decision on that, or if it is on a meeting, I'd like to know about it, because I'll be here for that vote, if you're gonna vote on whether you can do that or not. But, I'm just amazed, I'm overwhelmed by all the work, the people that are here and that they do. And our community doesn't know that. And I wish there was some way to get that out more so they could appreciate. I mean, you guys ought to be getting thank you cards from people, as far as I'm concerned. So, well,
All right.
thank you very much for your time.
Thanks,
you.
Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
I would only say that Steve, I see Steve, average of maybe once a week, and he never fails to tell me that I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you, and I know he prays for us in our responsibilities here, and I appreciate that. I guess, Jason, I certainly would be interested in if you would spend a little time to see if that could be a possibility.
I will.
And report back to us maybe at the next meeting if you could.
Okay.
And if you can be sure it gets put on the agenda at least for discussion at that time.
I've had more than one person, Stephen, tell me, I know a lot of pastors, and like Mark, they're all saying the same thing. You know, we're here for you, and we obviously need help. There's no doubt. We can't do this by ourselves. There's no way we could do what we need to do alone.
I appreciate that, Steve, and just to let you know, I keep things pretty close to me. These are my guidebooks, U.S. Constitution and the Bible. And I am a ordained chaplain, and serving our community in a lot of ways, but I'll be honest with you, I couldn't do this job if I didn't have Jesus Christ supporting me. And I'll say that to anybody. People's faith is very important to them. And I just feel that what you requested is really needed, because it's a tough job. And all these department heads, all the county employees, they have tough jobs, and they don't always get the credit that they're due. I've been in public service pretty much all my life, and you never get a lot of compliments. That's just the way it is. But thank you for bringing that to our attention.
All right, anyone else like to speak tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, board and staff reports with discussion. And then legislation is part of that, and so if any of those that are gonna speak here tonight, if you have anything about legislation, be sure and mention that while you're speaking. I think we should start on this side. Heather, are you first, or is somebody else back there?
Mark's way back there.
Oh, Mark Overman, do you wanna say anything?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Next, Heather. All right. Lisa, do you, anything?
Okay, we started our open enrollment for benefits today. We're doing something, about our change in insurance, and we're working with an agency that can do this online enrollment. This year it takes a physical meeting with a benefit counselor, and then we will be set up on a whole new platform that'll have more information at our fingertips. It'll be a really good change, really good progressive thing. But I just wanna tell all 5 of you commissioners that we do need each of you to set up an appointment with the benefit counselor as well,
Whether we're taking insurance or not.
whether you're
Do
taking
we have to
insurance
come
or
here
not.
to do that?
At this point, yes,
Okay.
and I think our potential open appointments are Friday, and if we can't get you in this week, there's gonna be a little bit of time for overflow next week, but not much. But anyway, and maybe, anyway, that's what I'm gonna tell you right now, till we can get it all figured out, cause there's still some loose ends to pick up, but we started the day at 6:30 this morning at the roads department, setting up, and walked into the roads building to find out that a good bank, with the middle bank of their electricity was out. That's where we wanted to use the computers, and at least one of them, and there's no electricity at the roads department, at least in the middle, right, Steve? So we're trying to navigate that, and some inexperience with Zoom with one of our counselors, and we just had a interesting start to the day, and come to find out in the end, we gotta do some more exploring, but our problem with the electricity was some way, somehow, somebody went and flipped the switch in the back of the building, or pulled it. It was our building and grounds people went out and says, well, that's because this was shut off. It's like, why was it shut off? We don't know. We need to check with
Little
Sheriff
interesting.
Overman to find out,
Who may
maybe
have
if they
done
know
that.
something going on,
Yeah.
weird. But
So you said a personal visit, it's a personal visit in front of a computer
in front of a
with a
computer.
Zoom.
Yeah, and what we've had is this Zoom link going up, and this person you're visiting with is in Kansas City.
Okay,
Okay, and then we just shuffle one person after the other, go in and go visit, and they go through the benefits and ask you questions, and
do we need to call your office to set up an appointment?
how about we get a hold of each of you, okay?
Good,
And we'll figure out how we're gonna do this, okay?
that sounds good.
So, cause like I said, our appointments are booking up. Might have, we're gonna be tomorrow at the detention center from 9 to 6. Trying to get them enrolled, then we'll be back up, we'll be at the Minutair shop for a little while, for that Wednesday morning, and then back here on Wednesday, Thursday detention center again, and then Thursday at the Mitchell shop and Gearing for a while at Rhodes first thing in the morning, and then back up here. So, see how we're trying to catch 200 employees and get them through, and they tell us we can get it done, and we're like, "Ah." But it's happening. It's happening, so,
Very good,
yeah. So we got like 40 people today.
good.
So, yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I could probably think, we went to TCD today. We went to TCD, meeting, but I'll let Matt tell you that. Anyway,
Okay.
that's all I have for now.
Very good. Jason, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. Kurt? No? Steve?
Just a couple things. We finished bridge inspections today. We did close one, the Cook Oil Bridge. It's between Highway 26 and Spring Creek. That is the bridge that we have slated to do next winter. We had it in this year's budget, but we took it out just because of the way the budget issues were. So we did end up closing that one. So all in all, not too bad. So
Which one again?
the Cook Oil Bridge, I don't know the number if you want a number
No.
off the top of my head.
Cook
but
Oil and what?
It's between Highway 26 and Spring Creek Road.
Thank you.
Goes over the Tri-State Canal.
So everybody has to go back around.
So it's just a little shortcut. There's a little feedlot there. I don't know really what the traffic count. I think that feedlot probably used it the most when they weren't supposed to be, but
I'm gonna say
Can they come in?
because it was a
Okay.
3-ton bridge and they were still hauling silage over it earlier this year. So, but you know, there's ways around. They still have Spring Creek. They can go either way up and down into Mitchell and around and that way. So it'll be closed till next winter. We'll probably bid that job out probably next spring, I suppose, because it has to be done next winter because our bridge match runs out at that end of the year there, the next year. So that's our only chance to get that done because we have to do it when the water's out. So that's where that's at. I too, I guess, would like to thank Lisa for her time here. It's been great working with her. I think she kind of took the extreme route if she got tired of me asking her for money all the time. So I also like to commend Kurt on his work in transit there. And if there's anybody I think to probably figure out the budget woes there, I think Kurt's your guy for that. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Ms. Darla? Nothing? Robert? Okay. Ms. Kelly? Nothing? Ms. Kelly, do you have any, I always like to
Oh, man.
look at you for dates. And, one date that I have is December 3rd is the Employee Appreciation Dinner.
Yes.
And
11:30
that's
to
at 11,
1:30?
yep, 11:30, 1:30 at the Civic Center,
Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
And so, And we need to RSVP for that?
That's passed.
Okay,
We've already got the
you
count.
put us down.
Uh-huh.
Good. All right. Other dates, our next, regular meetings are in, December, right?
December 1
Is our-
is our regular meeting. December 15th is a regular meeting.
okay.
We're gonna have to fit in. I don't know. You might need the 29th, I don't know.
Is that a Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, she already went over Thanksgiving, so payday's on Wednesday, the 26th, so. And
Right.
that's it so
Right.
I'll have a earlier deadline for everybody if they want something on the agenda.
Right, because we're closed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Correct.
so need to keep that in mind.
I'll need stuff probably the Tuesday before,
Okay,
so that we have time to make the packets and everything.
okay. All right, nothing else from you then, Kelly?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll think of something later, so.
All right. Matt?
I just had a couple of things. One, the tourism meeting, tourism met last, the 12th. I don't know what day that was last week. But, the capital improvement projects, the one, of course, the, fairgrounds, one of them, but they also, they declined a capital improvement project for the auditorium lights for Scotts Bluff High School. They did approve, the Beef Bash, I think that was a $10,000 capital improvement, program or project, also at the fairgrounds. A lot of new people on that committee and, or on the tourism board, and they're assigning committees to the various people. The last thing that they talked about was, AI Placer, which is, AI is the way of the future, and I think if tourism, we spend quite a bit on AI Placer, and what it does is it gives us an opportunity to, track people for these different events, say, the Old West Balloon Fest, where do they come from, where do they stay, when they get done with this, what restaurants do they go to? And it's something that tourism really wants to tap into to figure out, the demographics. So, I went to the Twin City Development meeting over noon today, and they also, AI Placer is very big with them, and there's a lot that they're learning from it. I was just impressed with, TCD and all the work that they're doing. I did not realize, what a big role they play, and so I was just really impressed.
And I should mention to you, Matt, that, the tourism department and TCD partnered together to get that AI software.
And if I understand it, I think they spend, the county $15,000 a year, and Twin City Development $15,000
I
to
think
get
that's right.
that.
Sounds right.
So
30.
Yeah,
30's
sounds right.
what's stuck in my
I'm
brain.
not sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, sounds right.
that's all I have.
Okay,
Well, in the new name of Twin Cities Development,
yeah.
you remember? The new name of Twin Cities Development.
I heard they were,
Something Communities Development. I can't remember what, it's still TCD, but it's got, instead of Twin Cities, it's Trusted Communities
Yeah.
Development.
trusted
That's what it is.
communities. That's the new name.
Yeah. So, cause they're expanding, they work with Oshkosh, and they work with the small towns around the valley, right? There was another one that specifically they named. Alliance
Trusted communities, what?
Development.
Oh, they kept that?
Trusted communities.
Well, and Twin Cities we've got Terrytown in between us now. You didn't used to, it wasn't always a
No,
city.
exactly, but the city of Scotts Bluff is not a member.
What? Huh,
Yeah, yeah, they haven't been for a little while.
did not know that.
I think when they hired Star Lael and she was there.
Or Rhonda,
They were duplicating stuff,
Rhonda
Okay.
Right.
and,
or that's
Rhonda,
what they felt anyway.
Pierce,
and who's her husband, who was her ex-husband?
Rick,
Rick Kukon.
Kukon,
During that time.
Okay. All right, anything else, Matt?
That's all I have.
All right, Ken?
Had all my meetings last week, 4 of them. Nothing really happening that really is an interest to anybody, just in fact, they were all short meetings. The one was over in 20 minutes.
What's the aging office doing? You know, I always kinda wonder how that goes. What goes on there actually?
What's your
Well,
question?
you're meeting in the aging office that you have, what does that consist of?
The aging office is comprised of 11 commissioners from the Panhandle,
All over?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and they've got an executive director, and, oh gosh, the list goes on and on, all the things that they handle, the things that they take care of, all of the Meals on Wheels.
Is that what they
Oh,
do,
yeah.
Meals on Wheels? I
Yeah.
was wondering about that.
They should,
Okay.
you know, there isn't a senior citizen center in Scotts Bluff, it's over in Gary now, and then all the other different
Do they do
counties.
the ones like Mitchell, Morrill, they cover, I mean, do they oversee those Meals on Wheels too?
Well, it's not, and that's not the term, but they have the senior citizen centers who do deliveries.
Oh, okay.
Meals on Wheels is a hospital, through the hospital program.
Oh,
They
And,
prepare the meals up
yeah.
there.
And they have cooks at the centers, there's one in Gary, Alliance, I think Hemingford's got one, Shadron's got one, Dalton Gurley has one. So they have
They have-
full-time people that do that.
have anything in Hemingford at all, or Harrisburg, I might say, Harrisburg,
No,
nothing down there.
no, there's nothing in Harrisburg. They did for a while, and they ended up feeding mostly the school teachers,
Well,
which was,
somebody there.
but they do a marvelous job of taking care of people. When we had, last year, when we had the ice issue, they were on the phone before I even had an opportunity to call Cheryl, and lining up people, knowing where people were, if they had electricity, if they were whatever. They have their list of folks. Part of the problem with our area is people are too proud to go in there and ask for assistance, and a lot of them need it. And every once in a while, she'll share some of the instances that they get into. An old trailer house with no flooring or no water, no heat. And once they find out about it, then they take the steps to make sure that they're taken care of. And they're very good about it. I'm really impressed with the work and the number of people that they service within this Panhandle area.
One more question, the Scotts Bluff County or all these counties, do they help with funding, or is this
Yes.
state or federal? How does the funding come?
Well, they get state and federal funding.
And some county?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. We pledge, what, 15,000 a year?
Something like
It
that,
isn't
yeah.
a real big number.
Yeah, no, it's not a lot, but a lot of it's from the state. They're not hurting as far as funds are concerned, they're doing okay.
Okay.
The only problem that they're having is the lateness of the state getting their payments. They're sometimes 2 and 3 months behind.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
In the federal.
Cirrus House fights and struggles with that real bad.
yeah. Well, I think all of them are right now. Region
Well,
One,
they were doing it- they
Region
were-
One's fighting with them. Area on disabilities are fighting with them also.
They were
trying to get
struggling
funds.
last year and the year before with the state, you know.
It's, and they give you a plethora of excuses why they're not, well, we have new staff, or we have this, or we have whatever, and in the meantime, the aging office is lucky enough to have a I don't want to use the word surplus, but a reserve that they can tap into until they get these funds reimbursed.
Well, I was wondering about how that all works.
No, they do a really good job. The more I'm with them, the more I hear, the more I'm impressed with them.
Well, thanks.
But the other ones, Region One is, I could say on Region One, they're still in the process of putting together that crisis center down in Kimball. They have a third party or second party operation that's going to be running it for them. They've chosen them. They were talking more about maintenance on the building, and evidently Kimball didn't do a whole lot to keep things up and going. There's some leaks and some other things, and trying to determine whose responsibility it is. And we tried to convince them that until we sign the papers, the owner is still responsible for that,
Yeah.
and even after the
Normally.
fact, cause all they're gonna do is lease the building. So it's, but it,
Got it
oh,
regular
none of the meetings were very long. There wasn't a whole lot of information. We did have an insurance committee meet with, Zoom with,
yes, we
with the
did.
insurance company. There were some folks had some questions. I think we got those all straightened out. So it was kind of a busy last couple of weeks, but we got through it.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say any more about Lisa.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Yeah. So, I had several meetings here with Lisa this past week, including that insurance meeting and meeting with Kurt and others, and, a couple other meetings with Lisa this week. And then the other bigger meeting I had was Panhandle Public Health District. And, there is a little bit of new information there. You know, unlike almost every other governmental entity, they're talking about having additional funding, more funding than what they had before. I believe their funding all comes from the federal government and the state government. And we don't, give any money, local tax dollars to Panhandle Public Health. But they're gonna have some, expanded roles. A lot of the stuff that they talk about somehow involves, mental health in many areas. And, but they thought that they could be increasing their, employment, by as much as 15 to 20%, and over the next couple years. And so it's one of the government agencies that I'm hearing is gonna be bigger rather than smaller. So, that's one meeting that I was at. Lisa, I wanted to ask you a question. Our cash flow issue and kind of the moratorium on spending, that's still in effect, as far as you're concerned, the same way?
Yeah, until
Okay.
we get the cash actually in.
Coming back.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of time for everything to show up, I think, unless Heather's seeing money coming in just yet.
Are the taxes coming in okay the way they should, or are they slow?
Oh, it's slow, it's November,
This time of year is always slow like that.
we're at the end of collecting for 2024. So we're waiting for tax bills to go out. They will go out probably either, I would say, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, or they'll go out this Saturday so that they're out by December 1st. And we can start accepting payments on those, but yeah, it's short, and things have still been really high.
Okay. Then the other thing, that was brought up earlier was, advertising for, Jay's position, the facility, manager position. I know, Lisa intends to start doing that as early as tomorrow or
Yes.
very soon.
I have to look at his title, if it's going to be a manager, or is it a director at this
I-
point?
Facilities manager is what it was.
Okay, so,
So whatever that is, but Lisa plans to start advertising on that again. It doesn't take our approval,
nope,
and so,
we could do that.
that's her
Yes.
plans, and I think everybody's in agreement with that.
Yeah,
Sooner the better.
The individual that's hired needs our approval,
Right.
yeah,
But not the
not the
advertising.
advertising.
Right. So I think those are my things that I wanted to talk about. Mike?
I had my county housing authority meeting last week. It went pretty much as usual. They took advantage of the auction at Schmidt Carpet, and were able to purchase quite a bit of carpet and stuff for their units at about 1/10 of the cost. So that's going to be a cost saving on their budget. And in one week, they were able to fully carpet 5 units. Today I started my first day of 40 hours of crisis intervention training. And what this is they haven't really had a crisis intervention training out here for law enforcement. They have it back east. And it's geared towards a marriage between law enforcement and mental health. The closest therapist that deals with law enforcement and the veteran type culture is in Kearney. So a lot of the access to therapists initially will be telephonic or Zoom, where they're trying to get people trained in this to be able to respond to crisis problems, and it's pretty intense, and it's something that's been needed for a long time. And the idea is to be available for law enforcement and first responders as access to either peer support or professional therapists. And I kind of view this as a force multiplier, because if we don't take care of our first responders and law enforcement people, a lot of times we lose them because of all the incidents and experiences they experience, and after a while there's burnout. And the goal of this is to keep our officers, our first responders, healthy and in the fight, because as you all know, when you lose trained people, the expense of training new ones is astronomical, plus the effect it has on their home life and their departments. So it's a very important training, and we have quite a few law enforcement officers and chaplains around the area attending this training. So, and then next week, our communications center will be receiving this training, and I can tell you the trainer's really good, so look forward to it.
Okay, Russ?
Okay, oh, it's been 5 years next month that I was placed on the Sears House Committee. We'd never met as a board because we were in the middle of COVID in 2020, right? So we're gonna meet next month as the first time as a whole board. We've always met with Zoom meetings, you know, and so I've been to the building, you know, the office, but we've only had 1 or 2 people ever show up there. So we're finally gonna all meet. We've got some insurance issues like everybody else with the buildings and all the properties. They've just gone through the roof. So hopefully we can do some brainstorming next month and see if we can't come up with something. They've got a fellow that we met with at the last meeting on a Zoom meeting with him, and he's been negotiating all of their stuff for the last 6-7 years, I guess now. Been quite a while. But he
Who is
negotiates
that?
everything for him.
Who-
But
who is it?
He's not from around here. I can't give you his name.
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't remember what his name was, but we need to I think look beyond that and see if we can't come up with some different numbers.
So I was gonna ask, does it qualify in NERMA's expanded role?
I asked him that, and that's what I was gonna ask Lisa at some point and see if I could pick her brain on that.
Right,
Not really.
not
Do you think
really.
they'd be interested in, or will they step into that type of stuff?
I'm not so sure. You've gotta be a tax asking agency, which is they're a 501c3, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe they are, so that won't work. They don't get any tax ask, Sears House doesn't get any tax ask?
No,
Okay,
No.
well, then that shoots that in the foot. 'Cause I
Yeah.
asked him that same question, that was one of the
Yeah.
things we wanted to discuss.
Please use your microphones.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
NERMA will do counties, they'll do the ag societies, they'll do the aging office, but that's about as far. Yeah, and they aren't tax asking, but somehow they fall into the bubble.
We might at least
think they have-
ask.
I can ask, but,
We should probably
I
ask.
don't,
What's that, Kurt?
Aging office gets a lot of funding from HHS, that might be where they fall into that tax asking entity.
Do we contribute any money at all to Sears House County?
oh, help me, Kelly. I'm not so sure that we do.
I mean,
I don't
they
think-
probably apply for,
Well,
Property
they get
exemption,
Vehicles
but-
exempted, but that's,
Yeah, I don't,
personal property in their,
501c3 stuff.
yeah, well, like we said, aging office, we give to Region 1, what some of these some of your other committees, but that,
Do they qualify for anything from the county?
Part of that problem was, Russ, years ago, I also got to sit on that board a long time ago. but they were part of Region One. And then they split from Region One and became independent. So I think that's why they may not be getting the funds.
Region One does get funds.
Region One does get, yeah, they get state and
Wonder why
federal
they
funds.
split from that. That'll be some good questions for me to ask them next month.
But they split off, oh gosh, it was a big deal. I mean, there was a lot of hurt feelings and
Going back
everything.
to that, if there was some benefit.
I
don't know.
I don't remember. That was clear back in the Don Gable days, if you remember Don Gable.
Yeah.
Don
Was he on that board?
he was the executive director for Sears House
Oh, really?
back then.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, I think we've covered all the staff. So that moves us on to the next item. The next item is an executive closed session to finalize union contract negotiations for Scotts Bluff County Communications Center for comparison wages. And so with that, I would move pursuant to section 84-1410 of the reissue of the revised statutes known as Nebraska Public Meetings Law, that the board hold a closed session with including Jason Ocean, Lisa Ryan, and Mark Overman related to the
Celinda.
what's that?
Celinda Howard.
Celinda.
And Celinda Howard.
Communications, not detention
Communications,
center.
Yeah, Mark Overham's not part of that.
Oh,
Sorry, Jason. Sorry, don't mean to.
so including Jason Ocean, Lisa Ryan, Celinda Howard, related to contract negotiations for the Scottsbluff County Communications Center. I further move that this closed session is clearly necessary to protect the public interest in maintaining the confidentiality of negotiation strategies, and that closed sessions with respect to collective bargaining are specifically authorized by the Nebraska Public Meetings Law in section 84-1410-1A. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to go into executive session for the communication contract negotiations. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
You have 5 yeses.
All right, motion's carried,
6:28.
6:28. All right, I guess we'll go back and where we normally go.
Gotta go to the other office first.
You're back, Kelly? Oh, we were hoping we'd beat you back.
You, record time.
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh,
good,
are you
huh?
texting me to let me know you're done?
I didn't. I should have, probably.
He turned his phone off.
Yeah. You told me to shut it off.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay.
And I've got that you're back at 6:44.
Okay. Meeting will come back into regular session. I would move that, we adopt the new wage rate schedule, as, negotiated with the, union of the communications. This will, effectively, have retroactive pay back until July when their contract started. And, but the, intent of the county is to make those back wages payable in April.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Payable in April?
Yes.
Just the
Just the retro portion?
Retro, yes.
The retro portion.
New salary, current, retro, April.
Right.
Understood.
Okay. All right, no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
You have 5 yeses?
Motion's carried. That was that next item on the agenda. Now we're going to the last item on the agenda, which is executive closed session for the protection of public interest to discuss an update and strategy regarding pending litigation pursuant to Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1410A.
That is your motion?
No, that's, I'm reading from the, agenda. But I do have a motion.
Okay.
I'll move pursuant to section 84-1410 of the reissue of the revised statutes known as the Nebraska Public Meetings Law, that the board hold a closed session with Jason Ocean, Lisa Rhine, and Mark Overman for the purpose of discussion of pending litigation. I further move that this closed session is clearly necessary for the protection of the public interest, and that executive session for pending litigation matters is clearly authorized by the Nebraska Public Meetings Law. That's my motion.
I'll
I second
that.
it.
Take your pick.
Take Matt.
So we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
6:48, Mark.
Okay. Ken and
Ken
Matt,
and
I
Matt.
don't think yours
It didn't go
came up.
through?
Okay, you have 5 yeses?
All right, motion's carried. What'd you say? 6:48? All right, so we're headed into executive session at 6:48.
Who all is going in on that one, Mark?
All of,
Jason, Lisa, Sheriff Mark Overman, and the
Right.
board.
You did get it right.
right.
I didn't even go have one because I didn't think this would be long. I thought this would be. There's your update. Okay, I think, there we go.
All right, so the meeting will come back to order at 7:38. And come back into regular session, I should say. We had information on potential litigation. Is there any other discussion?
May I call roll?
Oh, sorry, yeah, go.
Harris,
Yes.
Reisig,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Blue,
Yes.
Parsley.
Yes.
All right, any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, this is the last item on the agenda, so the meeting's adjourned. 7:39.
Okay. Ray Richards, maybe a long time ago.